Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Rei-Lin and I'm back with some more Armor Warfare today. Today I'm going to do a tank review, premium tank review. It's the Tier 7 Sabra MK.2. This came out over the Black Friday weekend kind of holiday and all of that. I know I'm kind of late getting to the review on these tanks. I was actually late to just getting to play them at all, just due to work and all of that. Kind of took me by surprise a little bit, and I apologize for not getting this out before the tanks went away on the store. But I can pretty much guarantee that at some point these tanks, all three that came out, the Vickers, the Martyr 2, and the Sabra Mark 2, will be back in the store at some point in some sort of bundle. And so I might as well go ahead and do the review as normal and get it out there so that you can all see kind of what you either missed or maybe you already got one and you'll just kind of agree or disagree with certain points in the video. Just let me know down below what you think. But overall, of the three tanks that you could get, two were tier 8, and this one is a tier 7 main battle tank. I really think this is the only one of the three overall that I would have bought. It was much cheaper. It was only $28 instead of $45. And this one just seems to work really well. It's just overall a very good tank. It's an upgraded version of the M60A3. It's Turkish. So it's got this kind of funky paint job on it and all that. And I think it looks pretty sweet. I mean, I can't really complain. It's basically an American tank. So you've got all the standard American things from sort of some of the Abram line and the F60. So, good gun depression and all of that. But it's surprisingly awesome armored. Especially against missile attacks. And so it's got some ERA. It's got some funky angles. I've actually had a lot of fun in this tank. Compared to the Vickers, and on par with the Martyr 2. But we'll get to that in another video when I talk about the Martyr 2. So let's jump right in and check out the stats on this thing. Damage, 580 per shot, 750 millimeters of pen. At tier 7, that's actually a lot. It's really good. Damage per minute, 4,927. It's main battle tank. But the reload time is 7.06 seconds. Is actually really fast. Most main battle tanks are 8 seconds plus, so that's kind of nice. Health is 3,050. Not bad, not super great. The whole armor is 240 in the front, 125 on the side, 33 at the rear, and it's kind of iffy, kind of weak, honestly. It is made out of steel, so it doesn't have any, composite stuff going on. So it might be a little bit stronger against certain things, weaker against others. But when you get to the turret, 690 in the front, 465 on the side, and 57 at the rear is pretty damn strong. Now you're getting into what makes the American tanks kind of crazy, and it is that turret armor, and it comes here in spades. That is really, really nice turret armor. Max speed is 55.72 kilometers an hour. It takes a while to get up to that speed, even going downhill. And keep in mind, this tank is geared for 55.72 kilometers an hour, which means drop it from space, it's going to fall at 55.72 kilometers an hour and not 1 kilometer per second faster than that. It's just, that's how it is. It's not going to go faster, unfortunately. So don't worry about, going too fast over a cliff because it just won't let you. It's kind of sluggish, 0 to 32 at 5.79 seconds. But it is a heavy tank, 55,000 kilograms. So, yeah, it's decent for ramming things. Hull traverse 45.71 is not bad, but it's not that quick either. Camouflage, no one cares. It's a main battle tank. 420 meters view range isn't bad for a main battle tank, especially for a main battle tank. So you'll have some vision, just not much more than the above average, slightly above average for the tier. 10 degrees of cannon depression in the front. Most of the Abrams lines and the M60 line have 10 degrees over the front and 0 over the rear, and that's exactly what you get here. Maximum deviation, so the accuracy is 0.070. It's not great, but it's, not Russian, so it's pretty good. 1.83 second aim time, again, not bad. And the turret traverse, 30.63 degrees, kind of slow, but not horrible overall. So, Basically, it's a very solid Tier 7 main battle tank. But just to see how it stacks up to most of the other Tier 7 main battle tanks that I own, especially for the most part, I own all of the premium tanks and a couple of normal tanks. These are not going to be maxed out. They're just what I have at the moment, mainly because these were previously either a different tank or, they split a tank into other tanks and I just kind of got them for free. But this is just sort of an overall so you can kind of see where the Sabra is standing. So damage wise, obviously the Russians are going to win. But penetration, it's, almost 100 millimeters more in some, except for the M60, which is another American kind of tank. Almost 100 millimeters more than everything else across the board, which is awesome. The damage per minute is better than everything except for the other Americanized M60. So that's pretty nice. The reload time is pretty damn quick, minus the M62,000. Beating everything else across the board. The hit points, it's not the highest and it's not the lowest. The Leopard actually has the most. Looks like. Nope. Looks like it goes to the Merkava. So you can see that's pretty good. The hull armor is the weakest point of the tank. It has the least frontal of any other of the tanks, including the T-Series on the Russians, which are not known for having very good hull armor. But even this thing has worse than that. The sides are a little bit better than everything but the Leopard 2, but still, it's not much better at all. But when it comes to that turret armor, look at this. It's better than almost everything else. Now, it does have the Object 187, shows that it's 770 compared, and then 700 on these. But I think this might just be that it's combining certain things. It's not taking into account the actual angle. I don't know if this is effective or non-effective or just overall it's better. I'm not sure what the logic is, because usually red means, hey, it's not as good. And if you look at the numbers, most of them are not as good. But, the Merkava has 800 on the front, but this overall still has more because you got 690 in the front, 465 on the side of that turret. And even the Leopard, doesn't come close, and then no one else even comes anywhere close to either of these. So turret armor is still really strong, despite the fact that, like I said, the Merkava is showing 800, the Object 187 is 770, the T80 is 700. So I'm not sure exactly what the logic is behind saying that it's weaker, unless it's just combining all the numbers together, giving you a total armor, and then saying, oh, well, no, it doesn't have as much. Either way, it has pretty damn good turret armor. Now it is, of course, the slowest of the main battle tanks at only 55 compared to, looks like 65 is the 60's the lowest. So, the T90's slow, but it's still not that slow. It has good acceleration. You can see that 0 to 32, it's pretty slow. It's not the slowest, but it's, almost the slowest. Weight-wise, it's actually not as heavy as some of the others. It is heavier than everything but the M60. It's on par with the Leopard. So, again, it is nice for ramming things, considering these are Russians. That's why these are so much lighter. Hull Traverse is slow, but not as slow as you think. Only really the Object 187 beats it. The rest are just trailing slightly behind. Camouflage, it actually doesn't have that bad a camouflage. It's on par with a couple of the other tanks. Like the Merkava has the same. The Russians have a little bit better. But we don't really worry about camouflage in a main battle tank. You're going to get spotted by everything. The view range is really nice. Only the Leopard beats it by 10 meters. And you could bump that up if you really cared about view range on your main battle tanks, using your crew and your retrofits. 10 degrees of gun depression, same as the Leopard, same as the M60, and of course everything else. The Merkava unfortunately only has one, and of course Russian tanks don't have much for gun depression. So a typical Americanized little tank there. I'm surprised that, the Leopard actually has 10. Sometimes the Leopards kind of get screwed over with 8 or 9, but here, right there, all three, pretty good. It's actually the most accurate of the main battle tanks at Tier 7.07 is pretty damn good compared to the rest. The aim time suffers, though, at that, but it's only, a tenth of a second. It's not enough to cry home about, but it is the slowest aiming of the tanks. Turret Traverse is also kind of slow. Everyone else is pretty good, except for the Russians, which are kind of slow. And that's pretty much it. I mean, across the board, you're not going to say that this tank beats everything, but it fits right in there somewhere in between certain aspects of it. You know, it's not the best on the hull, but it's pretty damn good on the turret. It's not the best on the speed, but it's not that slow on turning. It's not the best on, gun, but it is actually pretty nice on the penetration. So it's not the best on the health, but it has, like I said, that turret armor. So overall, compared to the other tier 7s, which are mainly that I own, premium tanks, it does stand up to the premiums. If I'm sure if I had a completely updated T90 and a Leopard 2, these values might change a little bit. But overall, this is a really nice tank. And considering, like I said, that of all the other premiums that came out at the same time as the Sabra, this one was half the price. I consider it a win. Overall, I think it is a very nice tank. In the world of PvE, with all the missile spamming that's happening between tier 6 and tier 10, this one actually stands up to the test of time. For me, now the main battle tanks not only need to have some mobility, they need to be able to survive multiple missile strikes from multiple directions and repeatedly take that kind of punishment and not die. There are so few main battle tanks now in the game that can do that it's actually kind of sad, and it kind of makes me sad that that's one of my favorite tank types to play. But with the missile spam, it kind of destroys a lot of your hopes and dreams. To get hit once and lose 3/4 of your health is not fun. So, that being said, let's just crank on here and check out what I've got for the crew and the commander. It was cool. I'm just gonna put Maximilian in everything. If you don't have Max, it's fine. Just go with whatever commander you have that's going to do what you need him to do based on the skills that you want for the tank. This is personal preference. I'm going with him because he gives some off-road acceleration, he gives some aim time, he gives some crew stats, he gives everything that I kind of am looking for in a commander. Oh, speaking of, everything I'm looking for, when you buy this tank, or at least when you could buy the tank, they may take it away in future purchases of this tank, but it came with a level 5 crew. So immediately you got to max out your crew, which is a nice perk, especially for the price. I took off-road driving and spin to win. This tank is sluggish, so the faster you can get somewhere, the better. Acceleration is good to hide from the missile spammers. And of course, being able to turn around faster is always a plus. Moving down. Do the twist. Turret traverse was slow, so I thought I might as well make it a little bit better. Aim speed was a little slow, so of course, quick draw on that. I don't have any reason to take the other two whatsoever. I'm just trying to make up some of the weaknesses of the tank. Rapid fire. Everybody needs to have rapid fire. The faster you shoot, the more damage you do, the less damage you take in return if you can kill it before they kill you. Now, these three are the ones that I'm just kind of shrugging my shoulders. They don't really do anything for this tank in particular. If you're going to shoot a lot of missiles, having explosive shells might be good, but I don't know if this works for missiles. It just improves how much damage you do to modules by 10%. This might be really nice if you're trying to take tracks off and stuff like that. Since this thing fires so quickly, you're going to get a lot of times just to track an enemy tank and just hold them there forever. So being able to make sure that your first hit generally takes the tracks off, it's kind of nice. I don't really have different ammo. It's mainly just AP, and then I have some heat. But I have to do some quick swapping because there's a bunch of light tanks in front of me and I want to knock the crap out of them with heat. Preparation is kind of my go-to. It speeds up how fast you swap ammo. I've never really been ammo racked in this tank, but it's kind of a neat little thing here. Your stats will go up by 100% if your ammo rack or your breach get hit. So that is kind of situational, and I'm not sure how good doubling the stats on your tank would be. It seems like it'd be awesome, but I don't know which stats actually get doubled. Do I suddenly go up to 8,000 health? What's going to happen here? What are they talking about? So I'd have to look more into that, but for me, it's going to be between preparation and explosive shells for the secondary skill that you're going to take on your loader. As far as ammunition, you only have to bring as much or as little of one or the other as you want. I generally try to just stick with a lot of armor piercing compared to heat, because there's just so much stuff that you start seeing above tier 7, at tier 7, 6 to 10, that's just going to eat the heat and not do any damage. A lot of ERA and armor that heat just doesn't like to go through. I'm not saying they're it's completely useless, but it's mainly there to increase the chance of fire and to do more module damage. I'm there to just punch holes through things with the incredibly high penetration that this tank gets. So, moving on. Now, obviously, you're going to take whatever floats your goat on this. I'm taking the surplus supply crate because you can use it 3 times. Increases repair speed passively by 10%, and then you can repair everything that gets broke on your tank 3 times. Since there's so much missile spam, you need 3 of these. I'm sorry, I know it's expensive, but suck it up and put it on there. If you only have the spare parts, your tank is going to be so broken after a couple of missile hits that it's going to be borderline useless. This thing does have a long cooldown, though. It's like a minute and a half, which I wish to goodness gracious they would make it like a 30-second cooldown, maybe even a 40-second cooldown or something like that. But a minute and a half, I mean, the game is half over by the time you can even use the second freaking charge of this thing on certain maps especially. So it's very, very useful. You're going to repair your tank constantly now because of the missiles. First aid cabinet. Now this is personal preference. I'm taking, because of the missile spam, my crew gets knocked out all the freaking time now. I have some crew skill to, from Max, my commander, to up the resilience of my crew members, but that doesn't always keep them safe. You can see that it's already given a passive 15% to my crew's resilience. And, maybe you're only going to get a crew knocked out every now and then, so maybe the medical kit is more than enough for you. I don't take any chances. If anyone in your crew gets killed, the effectiveness of your tank drops like a lead weight, so I put them back into action. And just as an emergency precaution, I have the 3 uses of it in case it happens again. And of course, I take the energy drink. I have been caught on fire way more often lately than I ever did in the past, but it's mainly if I start turning my ass to tanks that are shooting missiles at me, meaning I either didn't see them and they got lucky, or I'm already in trouble and I'm probably going to die. So it doesn't really matter to me if I don't have like a fire extinguisher. And if you notice, there is no more auto fire extinguisher. It's still the 2 you can get are manual. So keep in mind, if you get caught on fire, you better hope that the crew is definitely telling you that you're on fire and that you notice immediately, or you'll just burn up half your health before you realize, oh, I need to use my fire extinguisher. I take the energy drink because each battle, I want my crew as powerful as they can be. I want my tank as good as it's going to get. So I take the energy drink to bump their stats by 5%. Engine oil and synthetic oil, I don't think I've ever used. The tank is a little bit slow. This might be something to think about if you're, annoyed by how slow the tank is, but for me, nah. And of course, PvE. If you're going to play PvE at all, at the very least, take the high tier field maintenance kit. Please. I have lost like 3 battles now because no one brought any way to heal or to get their ammo back, and they just sat there until they died. I mean, it's dumb. I would also just, the jump in price here is nothing. This is negligible. I would bring the field rebuild kit. Okay, so if you're alive, it gives you a full heal and all your ammo. If you die, this is a lie. Revives at the nearest revive point with 100% health and 100% ammo. It only gives you 60% health. This is a typo. This used to say 60% health and 100% ammo. I don't know who put it at 100%, but you definitely do not get a full heal. It does respawn you somewhere away from the action, so if you got into the heat of things, you made a bad decision and you die, this will get you out of the fire and put you somewhere where you can think about what you just did and hopefully recover and, do better next time. But it does give you, some of your health, but all of your ammo. It only gives you 100% of your health if you're still alive. So I would definitely bring this. Always bring this. Don't worry about this. Just buy this. If you're going to play PvE at all, please just bring this. Your team will thank you. And I thank you already. Okay, as far as the retrofits, these are pretty standard now. There's none that are really exciting or that useful in any situation that I've seen. There is some variation at tier 10 because you can have 4 of them. So improved aiming speed, always useful. This tank does not aim the quickest, and even with this, it's still not as fast as it, I would really like it to be. So for this tank in particular, improving the aiming speed is great. Always going to improve the reload speed. This is a mandatory. This is like 6 cents from World of Tanks. You're never not going to want to shoot faster. So reload time, take that out. Now, the turret speed on this is slow. The hull traverse speed on this is slow, and acceleration is kind of slow. So here's where you'd have to start deciding. I took the hull traverse speed and the turret speed. You might also, instead of taking the turret speed, you increase the acceleration, and of course the engine health is just a bonus on top of that. I went with the turret and the hull. I just deal with the fact that it's going to be a slow tank, and I know ahead of time it's going to be a little bit slow. So I just work that into how I get around the battlefield. But if being slow is kind of annoying, here's where you can bump it up. If you had a 4 slot, you won't. But if you did, you could probably get this, the improved Pioneer Toolkit. Repair time goes down by 25%. I mean, this just speeds up how fast everything gets fixed. And so that is extremely useful for any tank that's at tier 10. So, but this is not, so we're not going to worry about it. So that is, in a nutshell, the Sabra MK.2. I think it's a great tank. For the money, it was a great buy. Hopefully, this tank will be back sometime in, obviously near Christmas. They'll probably put it, hopefully not in a mega bundle with 30 other tanks and charge you $300 for it. If they just bring it back as an individual buy, pick this tank up. It has probably been my favorite tier 7 main battle tank in a while, next to the Merkava 2D. And, so overall, good tank, good price, does everything you want it to do and more. It's sort of like an American Challenger in a lot of ways. It's tough as old boots. It's a little bit slow. It fires pretty fast. Awesome penetration. And it just stands up to the punishment that you need it to stand up to so you can have a good game at PvE. So anyway, that's going to do it for that part. I've got a replay for you, as I always do, so you can see how it drives around the battlefield, how I do. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. I'll see you on the battlefield. And here we are on Cerberus. This is a pretty nice map. It's a pretty nice map for artillery too, and sniping. But I'm not going to be sniping, at least not that far away from where I want to be. So they've added some effects here to kind of make you blind as you drive through here. Sometimes there's a tank that spawns on the left right there as we make our way up towards the north and start to hone in on the objectives, which, is to kill the lieutenants and all of that. I wasn't quite quick enough to get a nice little pot shot off there, but I know kind of where I'm going because I know where the first lieutenant's going to be, straight up ahead, and I wanted to get into position to start, laying into him as quickly as I could because, I want to get some damage this game, and I'm in the tank to do it. So this actually is kind of funny, the way this lieutenant actually spawned much further south than he usually does. I'm not used to him being in this position. That's usually where I go and then spot him further up. And I wasn't really prepared for him to be there, but I thought, well, at the very least, I'll flank him and I'll just shoot him in the butt. But, of course, coming around here is dangerous because right there, stuff is spotted to my right. Now, luckily, nothing was far enough south that they could shoot me. And my Terminator friend there on the right is doing a good job of kind of distracting them. And for whatever reason, I had to do a complete 360 around the mountain here to catch this guy. And he is completely infatuated with my Terminator friend, which is, I'm fine with that. It is a Romka. I just call it a Terminator 2. Romka, I don't care. It's a damn Terminator. and they're the bane of my existence and most tanks that I drive, especially the Terminator 2s. But this guy at least knows kind of what he's doing. He's making good use of his autocannon and the missiles. Right there, I just ate a missile that went nowhere. I'm actually kind of glad of that because I didn't even see it coming. So, we took down the first lieutenant, and my team is actually doing fairly decent on the other side of the train there. You have to be careful around this area right here because you're getting spotted, and usually things will spawn behind you a little bit further south and start coming towards this valley. For some reason they did not spawn this time, but we may have just got lucky on the spawns, or it's obviously a little bit random. But my Terminator friend, he's just hanging out down there, laying into all these tanks. I just went ahead and took out the AMX because that thing does hit pretty hard and very often. It doesn't have rockets and missiles that I remember, but it does do a lot of damage. Now here I did a dumb thing, which is shoot the side of an angled Terminator, and it's a lieutenant on top of that, and I'm not going to go through it even with the pin that this thing has. The second one, though, definitely did. Got a better angle, went right through it. Just prepared to finish him off if my buddy there didn't. Then we got looks like we got an AMX up above us, and I was not happy about that. One of our guys already went down in the M1 Abrams, unfortunately. And as you can see, at least for right now that I see, he does not have a kit to respawn. This is why I said, bring that field tier repair kit so that you can get back into battle or whatever if you want to heal before you die. But at the very least, please bring them. You need them. As you can see, that's an Abrams. He got stomped. And, that sucks, but, for the low cost that the respawn is, he could be back in the battle and earning even more experience. I mean, the more experience you want to get, more credits you get, you need more, you need to do more battling, you need to do more damage, so there's plenty of tanks to spread that damage out. Now, I already knew kind of what was going to happen here. Wanted to go down here and get the objective. Sometimes there is a tank that spawns just to my left and works its way up towards my team. Luckily, once again, he did not spawn. But I knew if I came over here, I could piss off all the AI tanks. I could start shooting them in the sides and in the rear as they moved up to engage the rest of my team. And if it pissed them off enough, they would start to focus on me and less on them. And of course, there's a lot of missile throwers here. There's a lot of Terminators and Romkas and Terminator 2s. It's all the kind of thing, same thing to me. I just say Terminator in general because they basically look about the same, and they're just Terminators. But they do throw missiles downstream quite often. So to me, they're the biggest threat right now. So I'm focus firing as many of the Terminators that I see so that the rest of my team doesn't eat it. The T-72B would probably be one of the squishier ones, but my Romka friend is hanging tough. Now that's Merkava 2D, and he does have missiles, and you can watch him come in. He's firing a little too soon and hitting the rock, which is to my advantage because he's not waiting, and I am. I do kind of pull out here in a second like an idiot and do bounce a missile because I got a little too greedy. I thought I'd have plenty of time because reloading those missiles on the Merkava is not the fastest thing. But about now I should assume that he's reloaded a missile, and right there you saw. Now luckily it didn't do anything to me. I bounced that missile, and now I'm going to finish him off. Even if he decides to shoot another missile, I'm not too worried. Finish him off and get back to the act of helping my team. So there's a lot of little dips and crevices here in this rock, but of course something has to be coming down the road way over there. I didn't let it fully aim. I could have backed up a little more, but now that I know he's ducked down below that ridge, I can just go back to doing what I was planning on doing, and that is sitting here shooting shit in the side and helping my team finish off these tanks. So the VFM Mark V, it's a little light tank, but it can hit really hard, and he's really easy to pin, especially if he's showing his side like that. It's big flat surfaces, so just decided, hey, I might as well finish him off. Now, I wanted to come up here and kind of get angled down and shoot at this guy, but I immediately got hit by the lieutenant because, of course, that rock didn't go that far up, so my side is wide open to him. Now, I could have probably pushed back up because he's backed way off now, but I figured I might as well go over here and keep these guys spotted. Now, I took another hit there, and I think it was from the BMD2, but it could have been from the lieutenant. I'm not sure exactly what hit me, but, you know, it made me wake up a little bit because I didn't bounce a shot or a missile. So, we still haven't lost another person. Too bad on that Abrams. Like I said, bring your respawn kits, please. I decided I'm just going to move up and get the lieutenant. Now, he's got a friend. He's actually got a couple of friends, and he actually has more than this. In just a second, if you would have paid attention right there, you would have saw that little chemtrail, and that means I got hit in the side by a missile just as I drove up. And that guy didn't get spotted while flinging rockets at me. I think if you get hit by a missile, it should light up the guy that slung it at you, especially because it's a missile. I know, I can see concealing, a normal gunfire a little bit. There are ways to kind of muffle it and things like that, but not a missile. The missiles in here, you have to guide them. They're not heat-seeking missiles or anything. So that's just, maybe a thought for later on. But you see, even though he was winging the missiles, I actually took them all and didn't take any damage. Now this Ariete, he's hanging tough, but surprisingly I could penetrate him right there, and I was down to heat. That's just how fast this tank fires. And overall, did pretty good. 17,000 damaged out, 20 enemies spotted, 6 enemies destroyed. Didn't do the most damage. That's the Abrams for you. It shoots a little bit faster. I didn't get into the thick of things until a little bit later in the battle, so I didn't get to be number 1. But that's okay. 5,800 or so damage mitigated by the armor. It might have been higher if I was being the one soaking up all that damage. That Abrams probably soaked up a lot more. Oh wow, I got 20,000 credits. Hooray! That's just the login bonus. So, there you have it. That's the Sabra MK.2. I think it's probably the best, main battle tank they've released in a little while. It really can stand up to some good punishment. It's a little sluggish, it's a little slow, but not Challenger 1 slow. And it just does everything that I think the main battle tanks need to do now that the meta is missile spam to death, everything in front of me. And it stands up to those missiles. I mean, you saw I took like 3 missiles in the side and didn't take any damage. Now, you could say I just got lucky because, I wasn't fighting tier 9s or 10s, and that's true. If I was fighting a tier 9 or a 10, like a T15, I would probably get smoked pretty quick. But that's 3 tiers above me. I would expect to not be able to bounce a lot of things from tier 9s or 10s. But luckily, most of what we fought there were not tier 9s, and I didn't think there was a tier 10, but I did take some damage here and there from being in stupid spots and, exposing my side. If you can stay more or less hull down and watch where you're aiming and get that front of that turret and somewhat the side of the turret facing the enemy, they're going to have a really hard time going through this tank, even with the missiles. And I think that's just what makes it fun. I like to be able to survive in my main battle tanks and keep the squishier people on my team doing the damage, like for tank destroyers or artillery or light tanks, AFVs, anyone that can't just go up there and take those hits. Because to me, it's important, because if I don't do that main battle tank job very well, being able to take the missiles, take some damage, bounce some shots, we're not going to win the match, and everyone's going to be kind of upset. I want to have fun, and that's the easiest way to do it, is to have a tank that can actually take the punishment, and this one can. So for $28, you get a all level 5 crew, and you get a tank that's looks cool, and I think it's probably one of the best ones of those original 3 that came out over Black Friday. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. If you liked it, if I helped you out, please press the like button down below. It does help out my channel. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my channel, you can click somewhere on the screen here in just a second, and that'll get you all the latest updates every time I go live with a new video on my YouTube. You can also check out my Twitch and my Twitter. Follow and like on those avenues as well, and you could probably come and request that I drive this tank in Armor Warfare when I stream it, and I happily oblige. Any premium tank you guys want to see, come check out the stream when I'm streaming Armor Warfare, and I'll load it up and we'll go at it. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. Take care, and I'll talk to you all next time.